Hey guys, today we're looking back at some of the craziest mother-in-law stories from this year. Do you have a mother-in-law that likes to snoop? OP did, but she came up with a fun creative solution. Fun for us anyway. Am I the a-hole for setting a glitter trap to catch my mother-in-law trying to snoop? Posted by It's Better to Be Lucky. For some weird reason, my mother-in-law really wants to go into our bedroom whenever she comes over. On one occasion, I followed her as she went upstairs. I was going to get something for my child as the bedrooms are upstairs, and she walked right past the bathroom on the main floor and up the stairs behind it. She didn't hear me, and I caught her walking straight into my room and rifling through the bills on my dresser. She denied snooping, even though I just watched her do it, and said she was just going to use our bathroom because she couldn't find the other ones. She had walked right past the one on the main floor and another one in the upstairs hallway to go into our bedroom. Since that happened, I installed an exterior doorknob that requires a key to go into our bedroom and one on the door to our office and spare bedroom. However, she still always forgets where the bathroom is and tries the bedroom and office door. This really ticks me off. My husband says that I just get annoyed at this because everything she does drives me crazy. And since we put locks on the rooms we don't want her in, there isn't really a problem anymore. Well, over the holidays, we had my in-laws over for dinner, and before they came, I was searching for the bedroom keys. We hadn't used them in a while since we only lock the doors when my mother-in-law comes over. My husband told me that we didn't need to lock the doors since she wouldn't try to get into the rooms, and I insisted that she would because she loves to snoop. We went back and forth and decided to cover the doorknobs in a super fine glitter to see if she tried them. I did this once before when my husband didn't believe me about the snooping to prove that she'd been in our rooms. Last time she ignored the glitter and we didn't say anything about it, but then my husband couldn't deny that she tried to snoop. So this time I covered the knobs in glitter, and for the office I went a touch further and rigged a little folder of glitter over the office door. I left one side open, French doors, and it was set so if you walked into the room, you'd get absolutely covered in glitter. My husband went out of his way to show his mum the main floor bathroom when they got here, and specifically asked his parents and sister to not go upstairs. There's a baby gate, so the kids can't get upstairs either. Well, guess who had to go to the bathroom, and somehow got covered in glitter, and had it all over their hands and hair. She completely lost it and started screaming at me, so I yelled back, and now my husband is saying that I went too far and that I'm the a-hole. Mother-in-law also says I'm the a-hole, but sister-in-law says I didn't do anything wrong and that mother-in-law deserved it for snooping. Father-in-law is Switzerland. Apparently her car is ruined now because it's covered in glitter that she can't get cleaned up. So am I the a-hole? Update. My husband woke up and found this post. I think the comments have been an eye-opener. We're going to start couples therapy in January, so I think they'll be great for us. I'll also be ordering some cellulose glitter that's biodegradable and safer for future projects. If she comes over again, I'll set up a camera, or at least print out some fun fake documents, so if she snoops again, she can at least find something interesting. Am I the a-hole for giving my mother-in-law a list of demands after she asked us to move in with her? Posted by Acceptable Pin 2408. So I was reading this list of demands and I was like, this lady is unhinged. These demands are so unreasonable. But then she gives her explanation for each of them and it kind of makes sense. I will start with the list. 1. She will be getting rid of her dog. 2. Her and her boyfriend are not to reprimand my children at all. They'll be expected to come tell me or my husband if my children are doing something wrong. 3. There will be a list of people who are not allowed at the house, their family and their friends. 4. Me, my husband and my children will be treated with respect at all times and I will not be treated like a child. 5. My husband and I will absolutely be put on the deed as the main deed holder before we move in. 6. If any of these demands are not held to the highest standard, I will be withdrawing. Story. My mother-in-law is getting up there in age. Not old, 66, but her health isn't the best. She recently asked us to move in with her because she can no longer work, has zero retirement funds, and can't get around like she used to. She needs help, and we're the only ones who can help her. She has until the end of the month to pay off $12,000 in back taxes before her home goes into foreclosure. My mother-in-law, by herself, is an awesome woman. I love her to bits, but she's a people pleaser to the extreme, and it's made her fall into situations that I'll never be okay with putting myself in. Her boyfriend, Mason, also 66, is a felon due to his continuous drunk driving charges. He just got out of prison last year after 6 years on the inside, and is already right back to drinking all day, every day. He got drunk one night back 8 months ago and decided to go and adopt a 5-year-old Rottweiler Mastiff mix and then failed to make any attempt to train the animal. It is now food aggressive, kennel aggressive, toy aggressive, and resource guards everything. He's aggressively protective of my mother-in-law, so the dog would have to go. Under no circumstances will I make an exception on this. My children are small, one crawling, and that animal will not get the opportunity to maul my children. If the dog stays, we do not move in. Period. Mason also has an old school style of parenting, and on more than one occasion has tried to father my children in angry, outdated parenting style ways. Hence why I said neither he nor my mother-in-law will reprimand or discipline any of my children in any way, shape or form. I said that my name will be put on the deed prior to moving in because it'll be me and my husband forking over the money to save their home. And frankly, I don't trust Mason to not try and kick us out after we do so. So if we're not put on as main deed holder, we will not be moving in and she can lose her home. As for the limit on who is allowed at the house, Mason has a family member who is a convicted P-word. The girl is 4 years old and he went to prison for 13 years, and Mason still hangs out with him often. He seems to think that since the man is in a wheelchair, he is now harmless. Absolutely not! He is not welcome at the home. As for them treating us with respect under all circumstances and not treating me like a child, there's been several times when Mason and my mother-in-law have tried making decisions for me and my husband or told us what to do, and I will not tolerate it. I gave them the list of demands yesterday and said either my demands are followed or this arrangement will not happen. Mason and my mother-in-law are both saying that the list makes them feel as though they're children / guests in their own home, and feel like I've now decided that I'm going to control their lives. They've asked to make some changes, as in they want to keep the dog, and have said that we'll just find a way to keep the dog separate from us. Nope. Mason also wants his family member to be allowed here, but has stated he will keep them in their portion of the house and away from my kids. Also nope. They also feel they should be able to reprimand and discipline my children if they're doing something wrong, as long as it's within reason. Nope, nope, nope. I told them they can speak to the parent, and that's final. I told them I'm not budging. My sister-in-law seems to think I'm being ridiculous. Am I the a-hole? Well, looks like there's an easy solution. Since sister-in-law thinks it's fine, she can move in. Ended mother-in-law's career after she ruined our lives. Posted by Deleted. Context. I've posted a bit about my fiance's adoptive mother Susan in the last couple of weeks, mostly on r/just-no-mother-in-law. But for anyone unfamiliar with Susan, she was my lecturer when I was at university. Susan hated that I was dating her adopted son, biological nephew, since she found out about us. When we first told her we were dating, she tried to kill me via an allergy. Another story for another day. And after she found out I was pregnant, she stalked us, impersonated me, and broke into our flat. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. She made our lives hell to the extent that we no longer felt safe in our own home. My fiancé and I had to move across the country to escape her. We've been living in our new place for a little under a week. The baby is due in a couple of months and everything is mostly ready. We've deactivated our social media, created new emails, and changed our numbers. Only a few friends and relatives from the town she lives in, which we left, have our new numbers. We had to leave our entire lives and everyone we knew and loved behind while I was 7 months pregnant because we just couldn't trust her around our baby. Revenge. On Monday, an email was sent from the dean to Susan's graduating students saying Susan was being considered for a promotion from lecturer to head of the department, and they want to hear from her students first. Do they not know that she literally tried to kill, impersonated, and stalked one of her students? The aim of this was to receive glowing recommendations to give to the board. This was not the result. As I had changed my email, I hadn't seen this, but one of my friends who had my new number and was on the course with me did see the email. On Tuesday, he gave my new number to the dean, saying he'd only give the number in person, on paper, and only if she agreed to ring when she was alone and throw out the paper and erase it from the logs after. If she was calling from a university phone, then the number would go onto the call logs, which were accessible by all members of staff. But he assured her this was something she'd want to hear before promoting Susan. So I got this call from the dean on Tuesday. She told me what was going on. My friend hadn't had time to get in touch before she rang, and she asked me why my friend thought I should speak to her. I told her everything. I started 2 years ago when I met Susan's son, the man that would become my fiancé and the father of my child. I told her about Susan poisoning me via an allergy after finding out about me and her son, and the EpiPen incident. I told her about the outside-of-class harassment I received post-pregnancy announcement, her impersonating me, crashing GP appointments, breaking in, etc. I told her about the in-class harassment, her telling me to break up with my fiancé, stopping lectures until I left, throwing out my food and drink, trying to reschedule exams, and more. Again, how does the uni not know about this? Shouldn't this have been grounds to fire her? I told her about the last time I saw Susan in person, when she tried to hit me while I was 7 months pregnant with her grandchild. I told her about having to move away. I was careful to not give a location or distance, and filing a restraining order to escape Susan. I thought the uni was made aware of the restraining order, but apparently not. My fiancé then arrived home from work, and when I told him what was happening, he was all too eager to chime in with stuff that I forgot. Copying keys, punching the landlord, cancelling orders, going through our things, etc. He also told the dean about stuff she did to him as a child. We also gave the dean names of people who could support our story, as well as the dates, times, and locations of on-campus incidents. I'd made note of a few of them, so she could pull CCTV from the campus security recordings. My fiancé also told her the story of one of his cousins, Susan's bio kid, who got close with a guy in Susan's course, but the guy was told to break up with her by Susan, with a thinly veiled threat against his academic career. We also told the dean about Susan telling me to break up with my fiancé and vice versa, so she could better maintain professionalism. The dean was horrified. She had me and my fiancé record a video where we said everything all over again, from the top. We made sure the video had nothing to identify our location, and we were assured Susan would never see it. We also sent her all the proof we had alongside it. This was all forwarded to the board, and the board unanimously agreed this was grounds for Susan's dismissal. They said that while outside of uni events weren't really their business, they do go against her character, and that as head of department, she would represent the uni, whether she was on the clock or not. They said that even without this, the events that happened inside the uni alone, stopping lectures, telling me to dump my fiancé, telling that other guy to leave her daughter alone, throwing out my stuff, seeking special treatment on the grounds of nepotism, were all abuses of power and were enough to justify Susan's dismissal. They asked me why I hadn't filed charges, and I said all I'd gained from filing charges is Susan staying away from me, and the restraining order and moving away has the same effect. Plus, it's exam season. My tutor work is really taking off. I don't have time to go through a whole court case, and I'll have even less time once the baby arrives. The baby is due in about 8 weeks, and Susan has already caused me enough stress. Tomorrow, in the meeting where Susan is fully expecting to be told she got her promotion, the dean is now going to ask her to resign. If she refuses, she'll be fired. She will not be getting a reference. The only reason she's been given the option to resign is that she's worked at the university for nearly a decade. But if she so much as raises her voice in the meeting tomorrow, she'll be fired. Security will be present for the meeting in case she tries anything. Meanwhile, the friends we left behind aren't hesitating to tell anyone who will listen all about what Susan did during the course of my and my fiancé's relationship. There's not a single soul left in that town who trusts her or will take her side if she tries to fight back. Not even her husband, who told us that now that all their kids are over 18, he'll be initiating divorce proceedings. I don't feel even a little bit bad. I know there's a chance I went too far, but I didn't lie or embellish anything. I just gave the dean the facts as they are. Everything is 100% true. And while it was me who told the dean, I see this as Susan's actions having consequences. OP explained what happened with the EpiPen poisoning incident. I'm severely allergic to peppercorn. Shortly after Susan found out we were dating and asked us to break up, she invited us over for dinner to apologise. I offered to cook as I had my pepper allergy to work around, but she insisted on cooking. My fiancé also reminded her of my allergy, as did her husband. She cooked a pepper-crusted turkey. Susan insisted it was a palate issue and that I need to stop being so fussy. I didn't eat it, but due to my proximity to a giant lump of cracked and cooked pepper, I was sat at the table with the turkey right in front of me. I wound up inhaling enough that I began to violently cough and felt lightheaded. My fiance went to get me water while I grabbed my EpiPen. I couldn't open it, so Susan took it off me. I pointed to where she should administer it, but instead of doing that, she asked me if I was sure about not breaking up with my fiance. Whoa! Her husband arrived, saw what was happening, called my fiance into the room, and between them they got my EpiPen, administered it, and drove me to the hospital. Wow, I thought Opie was exaggerating when she said Susan had tried to kill her, but yeah, sounds like she kinda did. To this day, Susan insists that no one is allergic to pepper. I'm just fussy. I know I should have pressed charges at the time, but not only was she still my lecturer, but law enforcement says that being stupid isn't a crime. Seriously? She held your EpiPen hostage. The guys had to wrestle it off her. If you died, would that have been enough of a crime? All those silly murderers in jail that killed their victims by shooting or stabbing them should have just given them an allergy attack and watched them die, cause apparently that's legal. Bride's family doesn't order the cake/catering and doesn't tell the bride until days before the wedding. Posted by Jill Keys. A couple of years ago, my husband and I went to a friend's wedding. We had never met the bride, but she seemed very sweet. The ceremony and reception were held inside a rustic barn-type venue, very tastefully decorated. After the ceremony, I overheard the bride remark to the groom about how pretty the cake had turned out. In hindsight, her tone was a bit odd. She sounded relieved, as though she'd been unsure of what the finished product would look like. Later, we found out that the bride had delegated the cake and catering to her family, who assured her it'd be taken care of. But, not more than 3 days before the wedding, the bride called her future mother-in-law in tears. Her family had never gotten around to ordering the cake or catering, and she'd only just now been informed. Future mother-in-law sprang into action. A friend was a skilled baker, and she could make a small, naked wedding cake. And in case that wasn't enough dessert, they placed a milk and cookie station next to it. And for the last-minute catering, they called up the groom's favourite taco place, who set up a taco bar at the wedding. The ceremony and reception were both beautiful, and as guests, we would have never known there was ever a problem. Am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my mother-in-law into our home until she apologises for the comments she made about my past? Posted by a throwaway account. I, 27 female, made a lot of mistakes when I was younger, and at 16, I had a baby girl. Her father was a lot older and a very bad guy, and was sent away to prison before she'd even been born. We, of course, have no contact today. I'm ashamed of my past and do everything in my power to better myself and provide for my daughter. For example, I missed out on my GED when I was younger, so I studied to achieve it later in life, and I'm currently part-time at college while working. My daughter is 11, healthy and flourishing in school, and I couldn't be prouder of her. 6 years ago, I met my current husband, 27 male, and he's just a wonderful human being. He's been nothing but supportive of me, and is an amazing person to be around my daughter. So much so that after we got married 2 years ago, he formally adopted my daughter. The only problem is his mother. She's very conservative, being a born-again Christian, and the interactions we've had together have never been good. I've always been aware that she dislikes me as a result of my past and didn't want my husband to marry me or adopt my girl. But on both sides, we were able to be civil enough, to a degree that I imagine she just accepted it. My husband doesn't have the best relationship with her either, but tries his best, and I've always supported him through that. Even so, I dislike her, and I know she hates me. Recently though, she said something really awful. It was during a family meal. She came over with her husband, my husband's stepfather, and we ate alongside my daughter. My mother-in-law kept staring at my daughter to such an extent that she was visibly uncomfortable. I asked her politely why she kept looking at her like that, to which my mother-in-law coldly asked if she looked anything like her father, and whether we could compare her face to his mugshot. I was floored. My husband was furious, and my daughter actually cried, which made me start bawling too. My mother-in-law smirked and just left with her husband. After that, my husband and I refused her access to our home. This was a month ago. A few family members have started admonishing us for keeping her away as long as we have. My reply is that she hasn't apologized and so we don't want her back. But they're saying we're being cruel and not being understanding of her moral values. She's apparently said she's sorry about what happened, but crucially, she hasn't said that to me. Am I being a major a-hole, or am I within my rights here? Edit. I forgot to mention that my mother-in-law has since been bad-mouthing me to the rest of the family. Even more than she did before. So, her moral values include making children cry? I just want to say, OP, that you sound like an amazing woman and mum. Despite everything life threw at you, when you were just a kid too, you pulled through and built a good life for yourself and your daughter. That's amazing. Down in the comments, Happy Trifler says, not the a-hole, don't allow her to have any contact with your child again. And when anyone says anything about it, say, it's because you're appalled at your mother-in-law's lack of Christian values. Specifically say you don't want a fake Christian around your daughter. And until your mother-in-law sincerely apologizes and proves that she can actually act like a Christian, then she can't have any contact. Throw that woman's fake religious moral values right back in her face. Am I the a-hole for trying to convince my wife to keep her mum away from us because she wants to swap our kids with her other daughter? Pressed by not gonna swap. Twins run in both our families. We actually met at a twin festival in Ohio. My brother and I didn't marry twin sisters, or even sisters from the same family. But my wife does have a twin, and her sister had twins, as did we. We have twin boys that are about 6 months older than their female cousins. This makes for some very cute photos. My mother-in-law might be insane. She's trying to convince her daughters to trade, like a boy for a girl. So each girl can have a brother, I guess? I think this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. My wife also agrees, but won't tell her mum to drop it. My sister-in-law and her husband are on my side. It isn't something any of us are entertaining. At first, I thought she was just trying to make a joke. No such luck. She is seriously proposing this. The thing that might make me the a-hole isn't turning down this whack job. It's telling my wife that it might be a good idea to distance ourselves from her mother. But my wife loves her mum and her quirks. She says it's just the way she is. But I don't want my kids around someone so unstable that they think this is a normal thing to suggest. Edit. I need to make it clear that I did tell my mother-in-law that this wasn't going to happen and to stop bringing it up. The problem is, my wife won't back me up on this. Doesn't sound like Hope can trust his mother-in-law. But if you could trust anyone, it'd be your own mother, right? Not for some people though. Some mothers see your personal, most private struggles and secrets as juicy gossip to spread around town. However, OP in the next story managed to turn this around and get the perfect revenge on her gossiping narc mother. And the best part of all, she can't do anything about it. Click here to watch how she pulls it off. Otherwise, thanks for watching.